What's up and good morning, my fellow modern collectors. This is Ahsoka. Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be throwing it all at you. We're going to be doing CGC crossovers, CGC cards, PSA grades, Marvel, DBS, Final Fantasy, Pokemon modern cards, all that junk. Going to be doing it all in this video because I had two submissions that came back within a week of each other, actually within a day of each other. And I figured why not combine it all together, talk about a few different things, see what's going on, and get into it. So before I do the CGC crossover, I sent cards from PSA to CGC. I'm going to go ahead and give a little review on the crossover process. So the prices are obviously really great. CGC is cheaper than PSA, and when they cut the fees in half, it's still obviously going to be cheaper. So overall, the fees were great. The turnaround time on this was actually pretty fantastic as well. I got it back in less than a month, did the express service level with it, so that was fantastic. What I didn't like was the fact that you can't cross over a PSA card at a higher service level only. You can't, put the minimum grade as something above it for that to happen. With BGS, I believe that you can do that, and PSA does that as well, but CGC doesn't allow that. The reason why I think they don't allow it is because they want more cards to get encased in CGC slabs, which makes it more normalized and people get used to it, and there's really not that big of a price difference or price disparity between the two. But yeah, that was basically my pet peeve. Was I would have preferred these cards only get crossed over had they gotten a CGC 9.5. So this card was pretty close here. Start with the first card out of 4, which I sent 4 EXs, all from that same EX submission that I did about 2 or 3 months ago. So this one's a pretty strong 9.5, or pretty strong 9. Yeah, you can tell a lot of these cards were pretty strong 9s that I sent to PSA, and I thought really did have a fantastic chance at getting a PSA 10. There's probably other cards that I could have crossed over, but I figured it was more worth it to sell those and get the money and buy the 10s that I needed instead of trying to take this gamble and risk. So I had some of these cards that I had duplicates of, and I figured I'd take a shot at sending them in. Here's another card, Fire Red Leaf Green Moltres. These are the secret rares, and this one got a 9.5 on the edges. Everything else was a 9, so pretty strong grade overall. The packaging that it came in was not so lucky. It came in pretty kind of damaged and crushed, almost like that one PSA submission that was going around where you had that Charizard that got folded in half. That's kind of what mine looked like, and overall there's a lot of dust and other stuff inside there. So it wasn't, to me, it didn't feel like it was packaged that well, but it still held up. So it did its job, but I was a little worried about it. So the next two cards were cards that I was very certain were going to get a PSA 10 on my last submission. So there was about 5 cards that I was fairly certain would get a PSA 10. That was the 2 EXs from Unseen Forces from the Master Deck collection. So Meganium and Feraligatr. Feraligatr got a 10. Meganium did not. And then I had Ninetales from Hidden Legends, Suicune from Team Magma versus Team Aqua, and the last one was EX Deoxys 97 from EX Deoxys. So I was very certain that those would get a PSA 10. They were very clean, very nice cards. Only one of them had a flaw with it, and that was the only card that I figured would not get a 10, but everything else was pretty much immaculate. So let's go and see how those two cards from that batch fared. So here we have Suicune from Team Magma, Team Aqua, which got 9s across the board. Overall, this is probably one of the best, probably top 3, top 5 EX artworks out there. Just fantastic. It's a hard card to find in a PSA 10. And this card with the centering got a 9, which if I look here, it looks pretty close to that. And even on the back, it looks pretty fantastic on the back as well. Pretty centered and even. There's no noticeable corner wear. Most of that's just dust from the packaging. But you see here, there's not really any whitening on the corners. And so when I consider whitening, like you might see this little dot right there that's, let's see if I can get it to focus a little bit. I mean, you can barely even see anything right there. There's a little, very, very little thing right there. There's no edge wear that I can see on this card. So I'm just wondering, where is it that they see this edge wear? Because sometimes there is a whitening layer, but that's just, from my opinion, it's kind of where the two layers are not even. When it's, the top part, it's kind of lipped that way and the other one's like that, and you might see a little white from one side, but from the other side you don't see it. And so for me, I don't see any whitening on this, so I'm kind of uncertain why these got a 9 across the board. Centering, I can see getting the 9 or the 9.5. And the surface, I believe there's a scratch down there. So other than that, the card's in fantastic shape. I'm going to crack it out again and send it to PSA at regular service level once that opens up. And the big daddy of this submission is this EX Deoxys 97. If you're unaware, for the uninitiated, let me initiate you with this. The Deoxys cards have some pretty low pops, specifically Crobat Deoxys 97 and 99. So luckily, I was hoping to get that one at a PSA 10 to add to the collection. It didn't, but now I have a 9.5 and a 10. So unsure about the value with it. I'll show that, talk about that card in another video. But this card here, it's going to be hard to value just because a lot of these EX sales are private. But the reason why this one got a 9 on the surface, excuse the big glare, is right there. Through the DNA, through those tentacles, you'll see that print line right there. So that's what got that the 9. Other than that, the card is pretty fantastic. I mean, I really cannot tell the difference between this one and the Suicune. So pretty happy with that. This should help me recoup the cost for the other card, but again, I don't know what to sell it at, so the price is a little out there. But that was my first CGC crossover. Overall, pretty happy. I was able to pick out some very strong PSA 9s and cross them over. So now let's get into this PSA regular service level. I am missing one card, nothing big, just a PSA 7. But this was one that I sent off at $50 a card, and I had some other cards that were kind of mid-level that were sitting around and cards that I just wanted to grade for the collection. And these are my first time grading Marvel cards on my own. I do have some in the collection, but these are the first ones I've graded for myself. So this one, let's get into this one. This is the big one first. This is Marvel 2015 Fleer Retro. So there's 2 sets. This is a subset within it called Precious Metal Gems, or PMG. You see that? Precious Metal Gems. It's really hard to show up in here. Or Marvel. It says Marvel Blasters. But that's Marvel Metal, actually. I'm an idiot. It's right there in the top, right in front of my face. So Precious Metal Gems, Flexion. And these are numbered. These ones as well are numbered, but people really don't care too much about Marvel Premiere. This was actually the first set to come out when Marvel started redoing some of their trading cards. So you had Marvel Premiere in 2012, and then next set that came out was the 2013 for the Fleer Retro. The 2013 is the biggest set, though, just because that was the first one that came out. Those cards are some of the biggest and most expensive cards from probably any Marvel TCG at this point. There was a big sale that happened with Heritage or Golden. I don't remember which one held it. Pretty sure it was Heritage, where somebody auctioned off a lot of Marvel 2013 to 2015 Spider-Man cards. So this one's out of 100. This one's one of the red ones, and it goes to blue and green. Blue is numbered to 50. Green is numbered to 10. I believe in 2017 they had a gold one, which was 1 of 1. So if you got the gold Spider-Man or the gold Hulk or Wolverine, you're doing fantastic. That card is worth a lot of money. The 2013 Spider-Man green one, I don't know the grade, but it sold for somewhere around 15,000, probably close to 20,000. It sold for quite a bit. There is a PSA 10 version from the guy that auctioned off his other cards, so I can't imagine what that PSA version would go for. But yeah, 2013, 2015 are the big years there. I did have quite a few of these, and I ended up selling off most of them. These were the lower numbered ones, so I didn't sell them off. And I picked them up quite a while ago. I did start buying some before this recent spike. After that Heritage auction, good luck. A lot of the cards went up to 50 to 100% in price. I'm looking for the 2013 Hulks. Hopefully I can find them. I do know that a green one, numbered to 10, had sold with a lot of 4. Probably 5 months ago or so, and it sold for about $1,200. So the Hulk was about $800 then. I know that the blue version of it, numbered to 50, was going for $800 for a while. After that Heritage auctions, I believe that Hulk is going for $1,500 to $2,000 now. So that Hulk that was selling for $800, green numbered to 10, that one's probably somewhere about a $5,000 to $10,000 card at this point. So it's a pretty big card. I would like to get the green one at that price range. I don't know if I could afford it, but we'll see what comes down the line with some of my PSA returns. So let's get into Dragon Ball here. One of the Dragon Ball cards is missing. It got a PSA 7, so nothing big. This card though is a big card. This is the second biggest card in the set cards for DBS. The trophies are other cards, but these ones are the big ones. This was one that I purchased for $450, so with a $50 grading fee, about $500, and the card is about a $3,000 to $4,000 card. It's kind of hard to tell because sales are all over the place. We just had that BGS Black Label Sun Power Goku Awaken, or Sun Goku Awaken Power. I need more coffee. But yeah, that one sold for $90,000. That's a population of 3. So card prices have spiked, but then also some of them are being shilled. So those cards have spiked up, come down a little bit. Now they're coming back up with new sales, new interest. So it's sometimes hard to really gauge where the value is. All I know is that I paid $500, and at raw cards, this thing's selling for $1,500 to $2,000, maybe more, maybe a little less, but I'm doing very well with it in a PSA 10. So very happy to add that to the collection. One thing though to note was that right here with the name, the white part is kind of diagonal up and to the left, and that was a concern talking to a friend that was advising me on purchasing this card. And they said it wouldn't get a 10 just because that centering was off, but right here with I believe this is the play cost. If you look right here, it barely goes, the gold circle barely goes out up here, and it's out over here. So overall, the 8 has pretty good distance left to right, and it's pretty even. So, and then on the back as well. But it could just be a crapshoot with PSA. I've seen PSA grade Dragon Ball Super and Final Fantasy cards where the nameplate was literally diagonal like this, and they gave it a PSA 10. There's been some modern Marvel or modern Pokemon cards where they have that black border and the card was shifted all the way down and there's a big gap at the top, and they gave those PSA 10s. So there's a lot of cards when they're brand new and PSA is grading them that they're not grading them as accurate because they may not know, how to tell the centering, or if that is a factory issue, are those scratches, or is that just the etching in the foil pattern. So it's kind of hard to tell with that, and with this one as well. You can see that the border top to bottom is a little different with the black spacing. It's not quite as much. But then on the back, you see here that it's centered evenly all the way around. No white specks at all on it. And this one got a PSA 10. I've had that one in my possession since about June 2020. Paid about $140 for it. And it got a PSA 10. Not sure the value currently. So these two cards are pretty happy to add these. I don't know why I spaced out for a moment. These two I'm very happy to add to the collection. I already have a Whale Lord, and I have this alternate art. This is my first one. And something's down here. I guess I left something. Whoops. Oh. Lugia, coming to say hi. So this one as well got a PSA 10. I'm all over the place this morning, but this one, this was something I had. Figured I would send it bulk, but then I figured, the card was valuable enough. This card by itself is $100, $150 raw, and it was pretty much flawless. So I figured I would send it in, and I think this is about a $400 or $500 card in a PSA 10. I like this one better than the Hyper Rare. So these cards here, again, I don't think it was worth it to send these at the $50 rate. Maybe this one right here with the alternate art. But I figured I like them in my possession. If I need to sell them, I could sell them. And they are worth a small profit margin. I think a lot of people are still kind of getting used to the fact that we're not going to have those big the fast turnaround times, nor the big profits on them as well. Some of these cards are costing $50 to $100. You do the $50 grading fee, which, is no longer possible anymore because the regular service level is now going to be $100 a card. So if this card, I paid $125 for my copy, but if this card, say, is $200 and I have to pay $100 for, or $75 for it, $100, then you're getting, $100 grading fee, that's $175, card goes for $200, you're making $25 profit. That price, it's maybe not worth it. Maybe it'd been better to send it off in bulk. Who knows what the prices will be in 18 to 24 months when they come back. So it's a big strategy with determining what level you should send the cards at. But at $50 a service and paying about $50 to $75 a card, that gives me anywhere from $50 to $100 profit on some of these cards, which I'm okay with taking a 50 to 100% profit on the card right now. So that was kind of my strategy with it. If you know, the prices drop, I add them to my collection, which was what I was planning to do anyway. Only reason I usually end up selling my single copies is because I need a PSA 10 card that comes up, which I think after this next card that I have to pay for at the end of the month, that is the last big card that I really have to worry about going off schedule for. There's a lot of cards that I have, you know, deals and stuff like that that I'm paying for. But then there's a few cards that have popped up recently which are very low pop, very hard to come across, and I just had to snatch them up because I wouldn't know what I would be able to pay for them next, or if I'd even be able to find them next. So I think this last card that I'll show, the one that I was talking about selling all those cards for, that card is like the last card that I needed that would be kind of a surprise hit to my budget. So yeah, that's only the reason why I would sell some of these modern cards, which I'm hoping to keep and hold for the long term. You know, I really like them. I like the team up. The alternate art is a big thing. I think people might go back to the original ones, and also down the road, it's expensive. These cards, you're getting, you know, one alternate art per 3 boxes. The chance to get any one particular alternate art is, you know, 1 in 4 or 5 boxes. So sure, there's going to be thousands of them produced, maybe even 10,000 produced. But the fact that they do have bad quality right now, the turnaround time to get them graded is longer, and just the raw cost from them by themselves, I think they're going to be worth it down the line. So I'm just trying to snatch up a few while I can, add some to the collection, and have some to sell and hold for the long term. So these next batch is from the Shinings. These ones are actually cards that I'm pretty happy about, and I was actually surprised that I did this well. My previous attempt with doing modern Shining cards was not very good. I got like 1 PSA 10 out of like 5. So other than the Shinings, I really had I had a really good PSA 10 rate overall, somewhere around 80% PSA 10 with the modern cards. And that holds true with this submission as well. So this is a big card. Many of you know the Lugia and the Celebi are 2 of the biggest cards from Shining Legends. Some of the more, actually, I think this is the most valuable card. And this one was previously a PSA 9. I sent it in again just because I don't have one for the collection. Even if I did have to pay a little bit, I think I paid $200 for the card, and this is now $100 for the grading fee, and I cracked it out of the case as well. So $300 for about $900 card. I'd say that's worth it, but at this point, I don't think it's worth it for me to try to chase any more Lugias. The condition is very sensitive, and it's very hard to find it, so it doesn't seem worth it. I've sent off about 5 or 6, so whatever PSA 10s I get in there, I will keep those and be satisfied with that. But I'm not going to go chasing Shining Legend cards anymore. I have sent off probably, I don't know, 40 or 50 in the submissions that I have. So Jirachi, that's one for me, new one. And then Arceus, this one as well, very happy. And last one, this one was Volcania. I think this one had the least chance out of all that I sent. And I'm pretty happy with that one, though. So now I just need Celebi, Ho-Oh, Genesect, and probably one other one. But those should come back in my next submission that's pretty close to finishing up here. All right, let's go ahead and get into Final Fantasy. So this is the big 3. If you were to say that these were the Charizard, Venusaur, and Blastoise Final Fantasy, I would say that'd be a good analogy right there. So you have Sephiroth from the main villain from Final Fantasy VII, Cloud, the antagonist. You got Waifu over there, Tifa, and these are just the big cards. So Cloud and Sephiroth come from Opus 1, the first set. Tifa comes from the second set that came out, and these are just fantastic cards. The print quality, the hollow pattern, the design, the artwork, I love it. This Sephiroth got a PSA 10. This was actually one that I pulled from a pack. I opened about a little over 2 boxes worth of packs. And the cards have fantastic quality. Some of the cards later on don't have as good a quality. And that kind of shows with some indents or just the tilting. But this was the card that I was mentioning before. That if you see the name, the border right here, it is tilted upward, but the one that sold on PWCC was angled down that way, and it still had a PSA 10. So to me, that is not centered at all. That's horrible. And this one as well. This one was bought off eBay, but this one has a better centering. Not sure why it got the... Actually, if I look on the back here, up in the corner, it's going to be hard to show, but there's some sort of scratches on the back that show up as kind of glossy lines on the back. So that's why this one did not get a 10. Unfortunate, but I do have a few more copies that I have that I'll end up sending off. At this point, I really just want one for the collection. Same thing with Cloud here. This one I paid $100 for. Now it's going for $400 or $500 raw, and I'm not sure what this PSA 9 version is going to go for, but I'll end up selling off these two cards to try to buy more to add to the collection. Sephiroth, though, is perfect because I have the Wave 1 copy, which is, in a sense, so PSA or Pokemon has the first edition base set, then you have Shadowless as a different version, then you have base set Unlimited, 4th edition or UK print. So with Final Fantasy, you have two waves. You have Wave 1 and Wave 2. Wave 1, most of it came to Europe, UK, and Australia. The US didn't get any Wave 1 as far as I'm aware of. And the difference between it is just kind of the foiling pattern. You have to look up close with a loop. And then also, actually, let me grab my other copy. And with the power of editing that I don't use. So this one here, this is Wave 1. So you can see right here when you're looking directly on it. Let's see if we can get it. In person, there's definitely a difference. So when I'm looking at the one that is Wave 1, the silhouette is a lot darker and it doesn't shine through until you get to the different angles. But this one, it's constantly shining through versus this one. I'm looking, actually, do I have that backwards? I believe this one's lighter than the other one. See, I hardly know the difference. So I know this one's a Wave 1, which is an issue with PSA because PSA was labeling all of these as Wave 1. I made a note when I sent them the submission to make sure that they would note that it was foil because they weren't labeling some cards as foil anyway. If you look here, this one is not labeled foil, and for those of you that aren't aware, there is a foil and non-foil version of each one of these cards. So I think it's important to designate. Obviously, you can tell the card is foil, but I do like the foil designation and Opus 1 on the label. And I'm happy to add this one to the collection. So I have both the kind of the first edition and the unlimited version in my collection. Now just the Chase Down Waifu, and as I call him, Sad Boy. So he's kind of sad, dramatic, in the I don't know about dramatic, but yeah, that is that's my submission. So before I go rambling on anymore, making this video any longer, that was my two submissions that came back within this time frame. Grading a bunch of different other items, collecting Final Fantasy, not really any Yu-Gi-Oh, but more Dragon Ball Super, getting into that little by little, trying to branch out, trying to diversify a little bit. And also, I was into these hobbies when I was younger. I've watched the shows, so I enjoy it all. And at the end of the day, if all of this stuff comes down to a crash, I have some fantastic cards in my collection that I'll be able to display one day, in a bigger house with a separate room dedicated to the collection. So overall, I'm very happy. Let me know what you all think about the cards that I got graded, the grades, the prices, the strategy, and just anything that I might have mentioned in the video. But as usual, I appreciate each and every one of you that watches the video. Thank you for your time. See you around on the next one. Peace.